How did you say it? Famuyiwa?
I don't know. I definitely don't know how to.
Famuyiwa?
It's probably Famuyiwa
Famuyiwa.
or Famuyawa. Fuyiwa. I don't know.
I'm going to go Famuyiwa.
Love it. Make someone tell you you're wrong.
Right. Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood in film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are a guy who didn't get no zigzags or no drig drags, and a geek doing what a geek does. Martin and Brady.
You would have sworn they were professors at Harvard. They had breath mints down to a science.
If Neil deGrasse Tyson were writing about Ice Cube, this is what it would look like.
This week, we're taking a trip through nostalgia and new school cool as we dive into two coming-of-age classics, The Wood and Dope. Dropping in 99, The Wood gives us a heartfelt, hilarious look at friendship, first loves, and growing up in Inglewood, California. And then there's Dope, a 2015 gem that flips the coming-of-age story on its head with a modern, tech-savvy, hip-hop-infused take on what it means to find yourself while navigating through those same Inglewood streets. The tie that binds? None other than Rick Famuyiwa. Did he get it right the first time? Or did experience lead to a better showing the second time around?
My first time watching both of these, I was very, very happy that you selected them as well. These were fun movies.
You'd never seen The Wood?
I'd never seen The Wood. I never got around to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had seen The Wood a couple of times, and then I stumbled upon Dope probably when I was doing my 40 for 40 movies.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed it.
Within the first minute, I was like, I'm going to love this movie. It's just like something, I just knew, because then I just understood what it was about, what they were going for. Because before, just looking at it, you're not exactly sure. But as soon as they dive into explain what's going on, I'm like, I know I'm going to love it. And I did. And I was right.
I remember I had never seen Dope.
Okay.
I'd seen The Wood. We'll talk about it, but this is going to sound familiar, but Jelani and I are going to geek about the soundtrack a little bit, as we have in the past. Dope, I remember, I vaguely even remembered hearing about it, but then I saw the movie poster or tile, and I was like, okay, well, I've definitely seen that, because I remember thinking that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, I'm kind of with Martin. Like, it was a couple minutes in, and I was like, hot start, like where this is heading, and I couldn't have predicted exactly where it was all heading.
No,
but,
yeah, and that's what made it good. Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, especially well done on the pairing.
Thank you.
Not hard to connect the dot along the way. But
And so the funny part about it was I didn't even realize that they were both by the same director.
I thought you totally knew. When
me
too. Discussing it.
They felt stylistically like they could
even
be
better
together.
I like
and
that.
then
I wonder why.
honestly, my big linchpin was Stacy. Stacy. And when he breaks up the fight in Dope, and he's like, "Ask your parents about Stacy," and I was like, "What?" They know.
It's so funny because when I saw it, I was like, "Stacy!"
Right? Jen said the same thing. She's like, "Is that Stacy?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
I legit watched these movies back to back one night. So, The Wood's not long.
No.
And it was great. I was like, "Sure, I'll knock these out." This helped me get a jump on it, and then I had Stacy in my life a lot that night.
So let's start with The Wood, because that was one that came out, and again, it was
MTV Films.
That was another thing that I forgot about. That was like when MTV was just kicking off their film division.
Mm-hmm.
Like this and Varsity Blues were like the two big ones. I'm sure they're. I
feel like Joe's Apartment or something.
Joe's Apartment
might have totally.
Is that right?
I think like Dead Man on Campus.
Angus? No, that was Nickelodeon.
Dead Man on Campus.
Yeah,
with
Dead Man on
Mark Paul
Campus. That
Gosselaar.
was for sure. Yeah,
That's so funny.
that one I watched.
Might have been another one, but yeah. So you have Omar Epps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't have a black film with Omar Epps or Morris Chestnut or Sanaa Lathan, I don't think you're doing it right. This one happens to have 2 out of the 3.
I just saw like a meme. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Maybe you know where I'm going with this about Omar Epps.
Yeah,
he got a scholarship for
3 full rides.
Yeah, football, basketball, and track in different movies.
That's funny.
Yeah, the only actor to achieve 3 full rides in
Love and Basketball.
Yep.
Basketball.
Football's the program.
Football's okay.
And in Higher Learning, he's in track.
Track.
Higher Learning, by the way, is maybe I'm wrong. I just saw that movie a bunch when I was always loved it, and I feel like we got to find a way.
I think we could do maybe Higher Learning.
By the way, it wasn't a huge stretch.
Boys in the Hood,
but
another John Singleton direction.
2 Singletons.
Yeah, 2
I think
Singletons.
I already have the Tyra Banks poster on my wall, but let me tell you, there's some Tyra in that movie. She's doing it right.
I mean, there's a lot of people in that up and coming, right? Like
Mr. Williams.
But in The Wood, it's just the throwback to growing up. And we talked about this with Friday. Like, even though I obviously did not grow up in Inglewood, California, but there's a lot of just elements of like growing up in the late 80s, early 90s that just clicks.
Yeah, they're slightly behind us here, right?
They're older.
They're older. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, so they were like mid 80s when they were in middle school.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I just said it wrong, but yes, they're older than us. We're slightly behind them.
Yes. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that probably we did back then that weren't fly now. Similar to them grabbing the girls' behinds.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, do we need to talk about the alarming amount of teenage ass that I was watching?
You can talk about it.
I was just like, I'm starting to wonder if this is MTV when it might have went a little too far here. It was one thing when I was 16,
Yeah,
or 18 watching this movie, but
dropping back now, it's like, maybe not. But I think it's funny just because they show things that are just kind of like common across like teen comedies, right? Like the Virgin Bet.
Yep.
That's just like a staple, right?
Yeah.
That it falls into all of these movies, but it just. I think that's
another movie from '99, American Pie,
right? And it's just again the parallels between like, that's what Michigan, American Pie is.
Michigan.
They're Michigan. This is Inglewood.
This is Inglewood, dude.
California, right? Like it's still the same kind of themes. Like teenage boys still have the same thing on their minds, regardless of where you're growing up and what the background is. But then also, like Mike moving from North Carolina to Inglewood and trying to like fit in and.
This is how we do it in North Carolina.
I think she's purty.
Right. Just like not being himself or then being called up in class. Like he's like,
called up in class with the wood.
With the wood. Aptly named.
So what did you think?
Both his movies have dual meanings in the titles or triple meanings with dope, right?
With dope.
I do like how they explained it right in the title too, the different meanings of the word dope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what did you think of The Wood? I mean,
yeah, I liked it. It's not an amazing movie, but Taye Diggs was acted poorer than I've seen him before. But Omar Epps is always good. And I like this kind of back and forth, young and old. There's a girl version of it now and then. I think Grown Ups does it too. Don't they show like them when they're kids or something like that?
I think so.
I just like that trope, that part of movies where they could be like show them when they're older and they're reminiscing and flashing back. And I think this one does it really well. Like you said, there's something about a group of 3 friends together when they're kids and when they're grown that just works. And this one does it. Yeah, it does a good job with it. Not an amazing movie, but really good. Yeah, solid for a first watch. And even as I probably would have liked it a lot more in '99. But no, there were parts of it that I still enjoyed as a 43-year-old man. So I don't know.
I think it's also funny that as a movie plays out, you see how Monica grows up, and she's Sanaa Lathan.
Yeah,
which is just hilarious because they
Alicia, you mean?
Or Alicia? Sorry,
yeah.
Monica's in Love and Basketball, which is Sanaa Lathan's in.
Yeah, right.
That's the character. But yeah, Alicia becomes Sanaa Lathan, and then you see how they like have the divergences where they go off, and he goes to play ball, and she goes off to I think journalism, right, or law school, one of the two on the East Coast, and then they come back and reunite at the wedding, and again, it's more of a movie about friendship and sticking together with your boys all the way through, everything. So they were all going through their trials and tribulations, but they stuck together. So
I really liked the brother. What was I forget his name now. Was it Roland in the movie? But the actor that played, I thought he was good. Like the
played young Roland.
Oh no, DeAndre Bond, Stacy.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Stacy. Yeah,
the linchpin of the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah,
he was great. He was great in this.
Yes, he was great in.
He
both
came up
films.
his Eazy-E looking, gangbanger, who comes up and has to regulate for his sister.
Right, and then
but then also is like, get it on.
right, because Mike saves him. Right.
Yeah.
Because Mike looked at the back seat and saw the gun sitting there, and it was like, and like coughed and distract him and kept him out of jail. The guy that was rolling with Stacy is, I know him as Q from One Tree Hill because Jen was a big One Tree Hill fan, and so it's just funny to see him in there, and he tells him to get in the back seat after they get pulled over.
Apparently, Christina Milian is in this. Girl at Dance, number 2.
I did not catch her.
She was probably like 12.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have recognized her. But yeah, like I said, the other one that stood out to me was "If This World Were Mine" is the song that plays, which has now gotten some resurgence with Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, I know. It was very funny because it was very timely.
Yeah,
watching this and then being like it coming back out. Yeah.
So,
great song. Love Luther.
Oh, I was going to lead into the
soundtrack
conversation. So I will say we talked about this a week ago with Set It Off. I had fond memories of the soundtrack. This soundtrack wasn't as good. Didn't have as many of them, but I remember. I think the Joe I Want to Know was the like, oh man, this song, they got this on there. And that was before it had come out, I think, on anywhere else. And then I remember Mark Dorsey's Crave, a nice another R&B banger.
Yeah, I would say for me the biggest one that always is Back in the Day, the Ahmad Back in the Day remix. Because that's what opens the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they use it more than once, I think.
Did they play it again?
I thought they played it more than once, but
yeah. So that was the one that comes up, but you still got Outkast and Mystical on there. You got some Blackstreet, some DMX.
Freaks Come Out at Night. Houdini. The DMX song, I don't really remember.
I don't remember that one either.
Which probably says something because listened to a decent amount of DMX back then. If I don't recall that one, it probably didn't last. But
I feel like this is probably just right for the Cash Money Millionaires too, right? Like 99.
Yeah,
that was about the time that they were getting things going.
Too Short, still struggling. You can't go wrong with Too Short.
You can always throw Too Short
100p.
Anytime there's a song, anytime there's a movie based in California, if Too Short's on there, it's fine.
Did you see with the Super Bowl, with the Eagles Super Bowl run, the whole blow the whistle thing, and he came and performed like with the dude?
Yeah.
Did you see, that was I think the NFC Championship game.
When he is in the driveway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came and performed with that dude. It's so funny.
It's so good. Too Short's great.
Too Short is great.
There's just
getting it.
Right. There's a lot of love for that Oakland, that Bay Area that needs to. I love a little E40 too. Give me some E40 all day.
There was the 60 songs that explain the 90s where he went into the whole, I think, Oakland Bay Area.
Yeah,
rap.
Was
they went
that
deep
when he
into
did
stuff.
Loonies?
I think so.
That was Loonies when they got 5 on it.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. And he went into all those artists.
Yeah.
Because I think he lived out there for a while, if I remember correctly. But
people forget MC Hammer's from the Bay too.
Yeah, he worked. He was a ball boy for the A's.
For the A's,
he worked for the Oakland A's.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
things I got up here.
You guys got a lot. You guys got a lot of knowledge up there.
I can't pull the stuff I need to anymore, but sure. I got MC Hammer's childhood job.
That's why I always said the East Coast West Coast beef would have been a lot different if it was MC Hammer versus the Fresh Prince.
Yes, it would have, Jelani.
Apparently, MC Hammer was ruthless.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, it was. The legendary story is Third Base made fun of him, and that's where make sure you don't come to Oakland, or that show in Oakland might be your last stop is referencing MC Hammer saying hey, I'm sending you a warning, don't come to Oakland.
I can't remember where I heard all of this, but I think it might have been on one of those 60 songs or something. But that's what I heard. They took it seriously.
The other one is "Please Hammer, Don't Hurt Him" is like a warning, not not just the title of his first album.
It's like Chuck Norris facts.
Right. So funny.
Hammer doesn't hunt; he waits.
Enjoyed The Wood, and then, like I said, I stumbled across Dope in 2015. I don't know why, but I had seen a couple
I don't even care.
Yeah, seen a couple trailers for it, whatever, and I was like, let me check this out. And I really liked it. And so that's when we were talking about different movies to do, and I threw these two together. I knew the Stacy connection. But then as I'm watching it again, I didn't realize like how many other people were just like in it that you didn't know, like hadn't blown up yet or hadn't gotten big. Like, do you know why who he tells to ask his parents about Stacy?
Mm-mm.
This is Lakeith Stanfield.
Oh yeah, no, I did see that. Yeah.
As Keith Stanfield, as he's billed in this.
Oh, that's funny. He's Keith. I did not catch that. Yeah, I mean, obviously we love the Keith, and when I saw him walking down this hall, I was like, oh shit, okay, good.
Yeah, early on,
not upset about that.
Recognized him.
Yeah. And then Shameik Moore is the lead. Shameik Moore, which funny enough, is the voice of Miles Morales.
Okay,
which I didn't know. I looked that up when I was watching the movie, but I did not know that name.
And then Tony Ravioli, his buddy in this, is Flash Thompson in the Tom Holland Spider-Verse.
Oh.
So there's little Spider-Man connections going on.
All right.
But yeah, what did you guys think of Dope? Because I feel like this is your first time too, right, Brady?
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Like everything about it. I love that they had the soundtrack as well. Like there's tons of songs I loved in there. Diggable Planets, Rebirth of Slick is one of my favorite songs. I loved it since I was a kid. Whenever it came out, probably in like when I was like 10 or 11, I don't know. And you had Humpty Dance in there, you had Hip Hop Hooray, just
Tribe Called Quest, Scenario,
yes,
Public Enemy, Rebel Without a Pause,
and just the way they talk about it. Because at first I thought, I'm like, oh, this is set in the 90s, right? And I think they kind of do it that way. The first like minute or two makes you feel like, wait, what year is it?
Yeah,
and then they explain it. They're like, oh no, we just like
into the 90s.
We're just into the 90s very much. And when they're talking about it, it's like, yeah, I
can't figure out why we all took to this right away.
and that's clearly they're going for us, right?
Yes.
They're trying to pull at our heartstrings there, and it just works.
Yeah, it's dope
because it's done. It's just done in a very, very great way, and I love all the characters. I love that they're nerds because I just relate to that,
right?
And I was thinking about that. I'm like, I imagine you do as well.
I did a lot. There was a lot that I read, not so much the punk band. I wasn't a punk band leader.
That spoke to me right away.
Right,
that's the thing. They were covering all their bases.
Right,
yeah.
They hit them all. I did like the scene where he goes and talks to A$AP Rocky. I forget his character, but
I thought he did great.
Yeah,
he really did.
Right? I was super impressed.
His name was Dom.
Dom, that's right.
Yeah.
And he's explaining to him like how he likes 90s, and Dom's like, first of all, that came out in 88, and the next one came out in 2001. So what are you talking
about?
You
expect him to be some hardcore like gangbanger, and he turns into this like knowledgeable,
right.
But the way he comes back and he says like, yeah, but spiritually those are still in the 90s. And I say that all the time. I'm like, music sometimes it came out in 91, but it was still in the 80s, because there's like pre or post Smells Like Teen Spirit, for rock music. But yeah, it's the same way. Probably, I'm for some hip hop stuff. Like you're going to, it's still spiritually kind of ties together in the 90s.
Yeah. No, I think that's accurate. And I've heard you say that, Martin.
Yeah. So, so I'm totally like related to both that are parts of it because he's like, Dom was absolutely correct, but he had a counter argument to it.
I really enjoyed their friend Diggy, the girl who was indistinguishable.
She was great,
and they acknowledged it in the movie, like consistently, like that she was a guy. They thought it was three dudes hanging out, but she just was one of the guys and was really, really fun. Except when they needed to prove that she was a girl, she was happy to flash and verify.
Throw those up.
I mean, Forrest Whitaker narrating, great.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, this is another one where it's like not an over narration, but just enough to get the story going. And then again, I love the whole like, hey, we're going to kind of take you on an adventure around Inglewood, right? Mm-hmm. So, you start out with the gangbanger, then you go to his girlfriend or paramour or whatever. And first of all, when she walks out in the very beginning, I was like, she looked exactly like Lisa Bonet. I was
my God.
100%. There's no doubt that that's your mom. But then like he's talking to her and she's like, trying to get her GED and trying to get, change her lifestyle and stuff like that. And then you meet like the businessman and you meet the kids and the guy's like, yeah, I want to make albums or whatever. And so then they, click on that point and then they make their music and then the girl's doing all the drugs and
all the drugs.
The drugs. So, Chanel Iman, who played Lily, the girl doing all the drugs, who is seductively gorgeous. I was reading, so that was A$AP Rocky's girlfriend.
Okay.
And he was like helping her read lines, and that was essentially how he ended up getting cast, because he was like around helping her, and they liked him. And I think to Martin's point, like he was really, really good for what they needed him for.
I like when they go to the house and like she's walking in the background and all three of them are like leaning around the door, like trying to look around him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was doing the same thing. I'm like, Jesus.
I was going to say it's, and it reminded me of the girl next, it had the girl next door vibes, and the way there's like something they have to do that they're not supposed to do at school, or, they're going to get in trouble and you don't really know how they're going to get out of it. And then they kind of flip the script on the bad guy, so to speak, and do something, it was really good. And it ended well that way. So just a solid plot. But that didn't even really matter. Like that was just a bonus for me, because I was going to love this movie no matter what, because it was just so much fun with the dialogue and all the friendship and all the stuff that we've talked about already. But I think it just adds to it that it was actually a really good kind of story and meaningful ending.
Well, they pulled in the 90s correlation, obviously, and all the music that went along with it. But they also, were talking about, I was reading, they said it's one of the first movies that's been determined to have like talked about like Bitcoin. They made a joke about Bitcoin
in 2015.
It was also the first movie to accept Bitcoin for ticket purchases at locations, which was a nod to some of that plot.
And I bet people that bought their ticket with Bitcoin really regret it.
I would think so.
That's the biggest problem and biggest complaint is that, you don't ever want to use it as currency. You don't ever want to buy a pizza with Bitcoin.
Right. Did you guys like the whole setting the things up with Blake Anderson and getting all the, trying to figure out how to set it all up and how to do the online market. And then when they're sitting down talking and he wants to use the N-word and she just keeps slapping him every time he does. Good. I was like, that's perfect.
It's like, sorry, it's just a reflex.
It happens.
They did an all-around good job of using, the N-word they use throughout. And I thought he, from Workaholics, is he allowed to cut his hair? I don't even know.
No, just keep it
dude
grown.
just has to have that hair for the rest of his life, right? But he's like, it felt like a perfect casting for the guy, for that role, right? Like this dude in college who has all the knowledge, but also is a massive druggie and
never wants to apply himself.
100%. But he
could
brilliant at what he's doing and can help in so many different ways. He's all entrepreneurial in that regard. Yeah. And then they have, to Martin's point, they kind of need the school in order to use, or they don't need it. They use the school as a function of what they need to get done for that end result. Martin, I didn't think about that, but I think that's actually really a spot on
parallels.
Parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his mom, who we saw in Set It Off, right? Yeah. Noticed that right away.
First movie, and this is
Kimberly Elise.
There she is. Yeah.
Come a ways. Yeah.
She didn't do a ton in this movie, but she didn't need to, because again, the three leads carried it, and like you said, Martin, the way that they wrap it up, I just think, like, again, taking you on that adventure that travels through Inglewood and showing you like the different dichotomy of like, he wanted to go to Harvard, right? Mm-hmm. And his his personal essay was about Ice Cube's "Today Was a Good Day,"
which I thought was hilarious as well. And there are people Didn't we talk about this before? Like, there's somebody that figured out what day it was or something like that. Yeah,
it's like only really comes down to that beat the Supersonics,
right?
What has to narrow it down, but yeah,
it's the big focus on that one.
Yeah.
But then how he flips it at the end, right? And he like writes the story. He's like, hey, give you these two scenarios, like, you know, which one would you pick for the black kid? Which one would you pick for the white kid? Which reminds me of like the McConaughey's final speech in A Time to Kill.
Yeah.
Like that's the same kind of idea, but
yeah.
You know, and I don't, maybe not as powerful, but still pretty powerful.
I think it was really, really well done. And this movie does not work without the strong lead in Shameik Moore, and I think he carried the movie really well. I was very, very impressed.
Yeah. What did you think of their band?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great that they included it. Were the songs great? You know, there wasn't a Scotty doesn't know. If they had that, it's a punk song. That would be great. But what was the name of the band?
Oreo.
Remember? Oreo? Yeah, that's right. There's this guy on the internet that puts together fake band or like bands from movies and TV shows, T-shirts. He calls it. It's a take on Coach. It's like fake cello or something like that.
Yeah, I think we talked.
Faux cello.
You've talked to us about this.
Yeah, so I think that if Oreo's got to make it on one of those.
So, as I was listening to the band, I got a very NERD feel from them. Like, and then I was watching the credits at the end, and Pharrell was the musical supervisor. I was like, that makes so much sense.
I think that all the music was essentially Pharrell had his hand in all of it. Everything they used.
Pharrell's he's can do anything. He's a musical genius,
except to make a biography.
What do you mean?
I just saw this week. Actually, I think they filmed a biography about his life. It's been scrapped, and
it's not coming out.
No, they scrapped it.
Oh, because
is it like a biopic or?
It was supposed to be a biopic, but
like documentary style.
No, biopic. I believe,
but they were doing it all in Lego.
No. That is different.
Oh.
That's coming out.
There's a different movie. That's already out, I think.
I haven't seen anything about it. I kind of want to check it out.
No, the one I believe there's a different movie, and I saw that they literally filmed it because I recognize a couple of the actors that are involved, non-Lego figurines. But they decided to, for whatever reason, creatively, that they are scrapping it.
Oh, well, maybe the Lego one didn't do well enough that they wanted to do a second, or maybe they just timed it wrong.
Golden was the name of it. It was supposed to be released in May 5th.
Like a Deep Impact Armageddon situation. It
was directed by Michael Gondry, who did Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
Set to explore his upbringings in Virginia Beach in the 70s, but it was shelved due to creative differences. Like literally months before it was supposed to come out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that seems, if it's that ready to go.
Yeah, no, but it's not that, like what I was reading, the thing I saw on the talk was they did that with like Batgirl, and like movies were done almost to the finish line, and they don't like the way it looks. And I suppose I'm of the mind like just release it and whatever.
Yeah,
right. But like
you're talking about creating hype. Oh, we have this thing that's ready, but we're not going to show it to you, and then just leak that.
And then you watch it, and you're like, "Shit, that was terrible. They should have canceled this."
But everyone watches it.
Yeah,
yeah.
Maybe they won't pay for it though. I don't know.
So I don't know. Don't know why, but I saw the same thing, Jelani Pharrell.
But anyway, that makes sense.
And I think you're right. I didn't think about it, but I do think the punk band aspect. Hard not to see his fingerprints or connect the dots on some of that.
Did you know Pharrell went to high school with Timbaland?
No. From Virginia Beach?
Yeah. They're both Virginia Beach kids.
I just know that from what I just said out loud.
He's also...
Where's Virginia Beach?
You're not going to believe this.
Virginia?
It is.
It's like...
Maine.
He's also... I think he produced or wrote Rump Shaker by Rex and FX.
All I want to do is I'm a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom.
Yeah, that's Pharrell.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wasn't he like 12?
I think maybe like 19.
Okay.
1992.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. He was very young when he was.
He did write lyrics for Teddy Riley's verse.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I said, musical genius. And he could do the punk.
Pharrell's only contribution was writing lyrics for Riley's rap.
Okay.
So there you go.
Still something.
Right?
That'll make you some money.
Hey.
It's a great song. I love Rump Shaker.
There's a lot of songs that are ghostwritten, raps that are ghostwritten for people. So
I bet.
But yeah, like I said, this is a movie that just came out of. I felt like
this is a fun movie.
I want to watch it again almost immediately. I want to watch it again.
For anybody even remotely close to our age demo, I feel like this is a very enjoyable watch.
Yeah,
and it hits on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, there's like rare. It's rare that I can recommend a movie to almost anybody, and I feel like this one I could say most anyone I know would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife probably wouldn't enjoy it.
You don't think so?
No.
not her cup of tea.
Yeah, it's just the things that we enjoy, they wouldn't hit on the same level. I don't know.
Does she know that? What's that actress's name? Iman?
Chanel Iman.
Chanel Iman's in it?
Second favorite Iman.
That's awesome.
I saw she's like a Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah, I mean, everyone could get behind Chanel Iman.
Indeed. Yeah, she was like, she didn't mind the nudity. She's like, I do so many topless shoots, I didn't even think twice about it. And I was like, whatever. But dude, I don't know what was going on at that house, but I was the same thing at the people at the door. I was like, I'm craning my neck, and I'm not even seeing around anybody.
I just like the way that whole scene like plays out. You're just like, oh, this is gonna be. You
can relate to Shamik. He's just like, I kind of want to hear what you're talking about, but at the same time, I'm being pulled in a different direction right now. And then she just takes off sprinting to go piss across the street in the bushes.
Well, that's before. That's after.
That is after.
That's after she throws up on him.
Yes, correct.
You're just like, oh no.
The culmination.
That was probably one of the top throw up scenes ever. It was just like you almost felt like it happened to you. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was very good. I definitely went like, oh!
I almost was okay with it.
Strangely, wouldn't complain.
There's no change in my wood.
All right, let's push through.
Ray's like, there's a shower right here. Let's just go. As always, unless you got one of those photogenic brains, you'll probably want to subscribe to our Film Fathers podcast so you can re-listen to this and all your favorite episodes whenever you want. Thanks, and go to bed.
She metaphorically showed you her pussy and said, come and fuck me.